Scamnesty returns. That's the focus of tonight's angle. As predictable as mosquito bites in summer, the pro-amnesty lobby is banging the drums again. And this time the effort is led by one of the most unappealing figures in the House GOP.
Human dignity is one of the 7 pillars of American conservatism. For that reason, Mr. President, the eye of history is upon us. Some of the most shameful moments in our past as a country relates to how we have treated immigrants who are not criminals. And we are in one of those moments. If we get this wrong, future generations will pay the price in shame.
If you get this wrong, you have no dignity. So insulting. Now, she was joined by these House Republican members: Mike Lawler, David Valadao, Dan Newhouse, Mike Kelly, Brian Fitzpatrick, Gabe Evans, Marlon Stutzman, Don Bacon, he's retiring, and Young Kim. And on the other side, a gaggle of radicals in the Democrat Party. Now, I got a clue for you, and this is to the GOP. If you're on the same side of an issue as the open borders fanatic Congressman Salud Carbajal, you know, that guy who fed info about an ICE staffer to a wild mob? Well, you probably need to rethink your alliances. Now, at one point, Maria Salazar unwittingly refuted her own kind of underlying point that millions of illegals deserve a pathway to legal status because they're already integrated into American life. Otherwise, who do you think she's talking to here?
Pero todavía dentro de este país tenemos millones y millones de personas que por años han trabajado en la construcción, en los hoteles, en los campos, en las lecherías, en la pesca, en los mataderos. Serán indocumentados, pero no son delincuentes. Son seres humanos que son invisibles para muchos estadounidenses que no lo conocen, pero sin ellos en los campos no vamos a tener comida al final de esta semana.
Where were these calls for dignidad, dignity, and for compassion when millions of American workers were displaced by cheap foreign labor or had their jobs offshored? Now, the idea, by the way, that Americans can't or don't work in one of these sectors is one of the most insidious and insulting lies the amnesty fanatics love to sell. In my family, 1970s, our jobs were critical to help paying bills and giving us experience. My mom was a waitress for 25-plus years. My brother picked tobacco. We delivered papers. Other brothers were busboys. We did neighbors' lawns. We worked in fast food. We helped with neighbors' child care and picked blueberries. So dignity, Senora Salazar, is what American workers used to have who supported their families by building houses, working in convalescent homes, restaurants, running family landscaping businesses, and the list goes on. But let's face it, the Chamber of Commerce Republicans love turning the tables on our workers in these industries to drive down wages in a marketplace distorted by desperate illegal aliens. It's sickening. So does Salazar's gang of 20, do they not remember the ghost of amnesty's past?
What I've just described is not amnesty. It is a way for those who have broken the law to pay their debt to society and demonstrate the character that makes a good citizen.
Call it amnesty. Call it a banana if you want to. But the fact is that it is earned citizenship.
If you're here illegally, not knowing if the next knock on the door is somebody coming to take you and your family away.
We came up with a bill. Doesn't have everything in it I wanted. Doesn't have everything in it my Democratic colleagues wanted.
And what happened in every single case? The Bush amnesty effort failed. The DACA amnesty failed. Rubio, the Gang of Eight bill, well, that failed. He ultimately walked away from it. The last effort, the Lankford bill, was so bad they didn't release its terms, until 48 hours before the vote. And it would have allowed up to 5,000 illegal aliens into the country every day. And then some illegals would be given automatic work permits, at least the ones that were asylum seekers, and that's most of them. It was a magnet for more illegal immigration. Voters, people saw right through it. The immigration bill went down in flames after the voters rose up in each occasion. They flooded the phone lines. They emailed. And you know what they really said? Don't even think about it. They're also saying, we don't trust you. We don't believe any of your pro-amnesty arguments because we've heard them all before. They'll pay fines. We're going to verify they've been here for 5 years. We'll look at electric bills and see that they... Now, even if fines were paid and you know the exceptions will swallow the rule, it's still amnesty, and it's still wrong. Millions have come here legally, proudly, and they've taken the oath of citizenship. And those are the types of people we want as our fellow citizens. But right now, Trump's border policies are working. Deportations are picking up, albeit they're nowhere near as fast as they should, but that's going to change. But it's not nothing. There's a lot of people gone. A lot of really bad people are on their way out. And the no exceptions approach sends a strong message to the cheap labor lobby and the cartels and to anyone thinking of coming here illegally. You'll never be right with the law if you come here and break the rules. We're shutting you down, so don't even try.
10 Republicans signed on to what she's calling the Dignity Act. I'm curious what the White House's position is on the legislation and if the president would veto this bill if it made it to its desk.
From my understanding, the White House nor the president has actually read through this legislation, but the president has made it very clear he will not support amnesty for illegal aliens in any way.
Trump supporting any type of amnesty would be the biggest betrayal to his movement and to the MAGA base, and he would never do it. I could not imagine it. He's too smart for that. His tough approach to immigration, sticking with what he started with, America First, is a big part of the reason he won. So any Republican, I mean any Republican who doesn't get on board should go into a different line of work. And that's the angle.
Late-night talk shows used to be an oasis for American families to come together at the end of a day and enjoy a laugh with the rest of the country. David Letterman led The Late Show for over 20 years and revolutionized the industry.
We will be dropping strange and peculiar objects out of the 7th floor of the Ed Sullivan Theater building. Hal, do me a turn on the camera out there. There we go. The biscuit's in place. There it is. On the snout. Ready? Here we go.
Wait. Toss it.
After decades of service in the late-night war, Letterman retired, and Stephen Colbert was appointed as his heir. Despite Colbert making a name for himself as a partisan cable news comedian, the country was told he'd be a host for all Americans.
Obviously, the character he does on Comedy Central is going to be ending, but then he's going to bring Stephen Colbert to the table. And we have no question that this guy is so talented that, you know, the persona of Stephen Colbert is going to work so well in late night. It's going to be original, it's going to be smart, and it's going to be different than what anybody else has.
George Clooney and Jeb Bush were the guests of his first show. But things got a lot worse after Trump beat Hillary. Colbert caught a wicked case at TDS, and he never recovered. He went off the deep end during COVID.
The vaccine.
Oh, man, the ratings tanked. Letterman averaged nearly 3 million in his final year. And today, Colbert is only averaging a little over 2 a night. This show is seen by close to 4 million a night. Now, the left's favorite late-night mainstream mouthpiece has been let go after a decade of liberal lip service.
I want to let you know something that I found out just last night. Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show in May. And yeah, I share your feelings. It's not just the end of our show, but it's the end of The Late Show on CBS. I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away.
But when Adam Schiff is a regular, you shouldn't be shocked when the bosses pull the plug.
So I just want to direct this, if this is the right camera, or maybe that's the right camera.
That's the right camera right there.
Donald, piss off.
After the show was done, Schiff came out swinging with a new hoax. Quote, just finished taping with Stephen Colbert, who announced his show was canceled. If Paramount and CBS ended The Late Show for political reasons, the public deserves to know and deserves better. Pocahontas' picking up on pencil neck smoke signals and is already offering to chair the first Senate powwow. Quote, CBS canceled Colbert's show just 3 days after Colbert called out CBS parent company Paramount for its $16 million settlement with Trump. A deal like that looks like bribery. America deserves to know if his show was canceled for political reasons. While D.C. Democrats try to impeach Trump a third time because their favorite comedian got canned, Colbert's friends in the media are dusting off the dictator hoax.
This is textbook authoritarian rule. This is not just a media story. It's a free speech funeral in slow motion.
It's not even like they're trying to hide the main purpose of it. This just makes it look completely connected with the 60 Minutes settlement.
I think people are right to think that there may be something going on here beyond purely financial calculations and that politics are part of it.
Paramount says this has nothing to do with politics, and it's purely a financial decision. And for the first time ever, I believe CBS. Colbert's show has been bleeding the company dry. It loses $40 million a year. It somehow costs over $100 million to produce a single season. And Colbert's salary, $20 million a year. Even if he took a pay cut, it still wouldn't help.
Think back to 2023 when The Late Late Show with James Corden went off the air. I reported at the time that that show had become unprofitable, that CBS was not able to sell enough ads to make that show profitable. Well, that is now the case for Colbert as well. I'm told by a source close to the network that The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is now technically unprofitable. So that does give the company a financial reason to end the show.
And if your show's a subsidized liberal charity case on life support, is it smart to call half the country Nazis while they're in their pajamas?
One massive part of the conversation that's been completely omitted from this, and that is when you do a show that attacks half of America every night and you don't have conservatives on, and by the way, you're not funny, but attacking half of America and your ratings suck, you might lose your show.
But there's a lot of reasons why the Colbert ratings are not working out that have nothing to do with the political divide you're talking about.
But it's constant. He's having on Democrats to trash Trump. He has constantly been trashing conservatives. He referred to Donald Trump as a Nazi lover in 2017.
Liberal late-night TV is unfunny and unprofitable. And celebrities can promote their movies and shows on other platforms. White, black, man, women, gay, and straight. Everyone's getting 86 by the mainstream media, and it has nothing to do with identity politics. It's about money and ideology.
Let's be honest, I don't think you were fired after all those years because of your skin colour or because you're a black woman. I think you were fired because your show just got increasingly unpopular. It happens all the time in TV. That's why you got let go. Why play the race card?
First of all, I love the fact that your play the race card is your version of the race card. You literally are so fixated on trying to racialize conversations with me, Piers, that I find it actually quite charming.
You racialize more conversations
in your
tenure at MSNBC than any host in history.
All right, Mark. All right, Piers.
TDS and no talent, that is a toxic combo. And a lot of highly paid people are finding out with pink slips. PBS, NPR, they became government-funded propaganda pieces, and now their government funding's going adios. Liberals say without our propaganda, though, we're all going to die.
This is the end of a publicly funded media era. Radio and TV stations will have to lay off staffers and cut back on programming.
This is completely outrageous. They rely on a series of public broadcasting to get alerts out.
People need immediate, up-to-date alerts to stay safe. And sometimes, all too often, public broadcasting is the only way for people to hear what's going on. It's a matter of life and death.
People used to trust the mainstream media, kind of, back when the media was a little more trustworthy. But Fox, talk radio, social media, they changed that. Now they trust us. The country was given a choice, and those choices have consequences. Being lectured by a drama queen isn't informative or entertaining. Here's a CBS reporter who claims he has PTSD after the Butler shooting, but not because he was almost shot. He thought the crowd was going to kill him.
For those of us there, it was such a horror because you saw an emerging America. And it wasn't the shooting, Chuck. I got diagnosed with PTSD within 48 hours. I got put on trauma leave, not because I think of the shooting, but because you saw it in the eyes, the reaction of the people. They were coming for us. If he didn't jump up with his fist, they were going to come kill us.
I know. Trump got shot in the head, and the reporter says he's the one who almost died. We are in a new era. It's called the Golden Age, and the legacy media is going the way of the dinosaurs, and Trump's happy to nudge him into extinction. Do you even need late-night comedy with this kind of material in the White House?
We worked hard. It's a very important act, the Genius Act. They named it after me, and I want to thank you. This is not an auto pen, by the way.
All right, welcome to this very special Friday edition of Hannity. Now for the next hour, we're going to do something you will not see on any of the state-run legacy mob, any other network. We are now, as of Sunday, 6 months into the presidency of Donald Trump, his historic second term. So tonight, we're going to cut through all the manufactured drama. We will highlight exactly what this president has accomplished in this very short period of time. Coming up, we'll be joined by the Director of National Intelligence. Breaking news tonight, Tulsi Gabbard, Deputy Chief of Policy, Stephen Miller, and other special guests. Look, it's not a secret that I have been a longtime friend and supporter. We've been very transparent of President Trump. But even I am frankly amazed at what he has been able to do against all odds in such a very short period of time. What we're living through, you better take, really close notes, because you most likely will never see this again in your lifetime. The single most consequential, transformational presidency in our lifetime. And without a doubt, the underlying theme of the White House, promises made, right, promises kept. Tonight, we begin at the border. President Trump made the vow many times on the campaign trail to all of you. Take a look.
Starting on day one, I will seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. We will carry out the largest deportation operation of criminals in American history.
Okay, check the list. He did it. He kept his promise. We went from the most illegal border crossings, unvetted, in history under Biden, Harris, Mayorkas, which, by the way, was the most preventable national security threat in history. The worst thing he ever did. We have known terrorists. We have assassination squads. We have murderers, rapists, other violent criminals, cartel members, gang members, and drug dealers. They let him into the country. And now, 6 months later, we now have the lowest illegal border crossings in history under President Trump. Less than 6 months. There was 0 illegal immigrants released into the country last month. 0. And meanwhile, deportations, they are well underway, now fueled by a record amount of funding for ICE and border officials because of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And speaking of which, this was a monumental bill that many thought would never pass. But on the campaign trail, Donald Trump made this promise to all of you. Again, take a look as a reminder.
And we also have something that's basic, but wow, people said, you're really smart. Where the hell did you think of this one? No tax on tips. So if you're a waitress, a caddy, a driver, but maybe better, no tax on overtime.
He did it. He got it done, despite a razor-thin majority in both the House and the Senate. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. The single largest tax cut in American history, or we would have had the largest tax increase if Democrats had their way in American history. They didn't care about American workers. They didn't support the bill. They don't care about people paying taxes on tips and overtime. Also, tax relief for Americans that are on Social Security. And the president's 2017 income tax cuts for all Americans have now been made permanent. Every single American who pays taxes, you will all benefit from this bill. But remember, the president didn't just promise to lower taxes. He also vowed to tackle the insane ways that the federal government is spending, wasting, abusing your hard-earned money. Take a look.
I will create a government efficiency commission tasked with conducting a complete financial and performance audit of the entire federal government and making recommendations for drastic reforms. We need to do it. Can't go on the way we are now.
Doge is up and running, and their website claims the average American, that's all of you, taxpayer, is already saving over $1,100 a year, and cuts are still being made. For example, USAID was exposed as a multi-billion-dollar slush fund for left-wing causes all across the globe. Not even spent in this country. USAID, that has been shut down for good. Last week, there were big layoffs at the State Department. And breaking today, both NPR and PBS just finally lost their federal funding. We have been talking about defunding them for decades. Their free ride and their propaganda programming is over. Although I guess you can get it on 3 networks and 2 cable channels. Now, both far-left outlets can continue to spew woke, radical, far-left propaganda, but you won't be forced to pay for it with your hard-earned tax dollars. It is clear President Trump does not like seeing all of you getting ripped off, not by their own government. And we got to stop robbing from our children and our grandchildren. And by the way, he doesn't like when we get ripped off by foreign governments either. Take a look.
We were ripped off by every nation in the world, and some of the worst rippers were our so-called allies, people that countries that we supposedly get along with us with, but they're the ones that took advantage of us on trade.
Now, President Trump is using tariffs to negotiate new trade deals with virtually every country in the world. A handful of nations have already come to terms, and others are now incurring steep tariffs. By the way, it's their choice. The days of America, our country, all of you being ripped off, taken advantage of, they are over. Critics said this plan would result in massive inflation. They were all proven wrong. Not only did the tariffs help fund a $26 billion federal budget surplus in June, the first surplus in 20 years. Since 2005, inflation has gone way down as under President Trump. By the way, as promised, take a look.
We will defeat inflation quickly, and we will make America affordable again. We're getting your prices way down.
At one point, inflation, remember, over 9% under Biden. When he left office, the price of eggs was skyrocketing. Under Trump, those prices have come down. Inflation is almost non-existent. Over the 4th of July weekend, we saw the lowest gas prices we've ever seen since Donald Trump's first term. And that's not all. The stock market is now booming. Crypto is booming. Record job gains. The job market surpassing all expectations. Income is on the rise, just like his first term. Remember, record low unemployment for every demographic: African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, women in the workplace, African American youth unemployment. It's all happening again. And $11 trillion in committed monies for manufacturing. That means pharmaceuticals, that means semiconductor chips, and that means automobile manufacturing, all coming here on top of energy dominance and independence. That is the foundation for an incredible golden era for our economy. A remarkable first 6 months in office, and so far we've barely scraped the surface. For example, the violent crime rate is going down, murder rate way down, colleges capitulating, now blocking biological men from competing in women's sports. Now they're even apologizing for their actions. Donald Trump stopped Iran from building a nuclear weapon, #1 state sponsor of terrorism, preventing them from having that powerful weapon. And he did it without starting a forever war, as some predicted. The world is a much safer place. China finally getting tough on the fentanyl trade. And a trade deal with President Xi and the Chinese has been made. Rare earths, magnets, things that we need. And they'll get access to our markets, but they're still paying tariffs. A violent riot in Los Angeles, that was stopped right in its tracks with the help of the National Guard and the U.S. Marines. Department of Education, we've talked about getting rid of this for decades. Done, dismantled, and I can go on and on. All in a short period of 6 months. Just a little over a year ago, Donald Trump literally came within a millimeter of losing his life. A year ago, you had a president that was the mumbling, bumbling, cognitive mess. I don't think he knew what day it was. In only 6 months, the president has accomplished far more than under 4 years of President Autopen and Obama and others combined. Now, what we're seeing from President Trump is pretty much unheard of. You're watching history in the making after getting shot and sued and spied on and investigated and lied about and dragged through the New York court system, persecuted by the feds, smeared, attacked, besmirched. Trump has emerged as perhaps the greatest leader in modern American history. And simultaneously, the Democrats, they are collapsing into radical Marxist, communist extremism with next to zero moderate voices. If they do exist, they're too afraid to speak out. You're watching history. So buckle up, because the next 3.5 years will probably be just as busy. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.